Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Paint Party live stream. I am so glad to be with you in studio again this evening. I hope you've had a great week. This is my Learn to Paint journey. A few years ago, I started teaching myself to paint using primarily YouTube tutorials. And so for the last few years, I have done a weekly live stream of that journey where you get to join me as I paint a different painting, typically every week. But tonight we're going to continue working on the one we started last week, which is a master study from Thomas Moran. And I picked a portion of that painting to do a study of. And so I'm going to continue working on that tonight. My goal is to really study some of these masters of landscape art from my perspective. People like Thomas Moran, like Bierstadt, like different painters that I respect or that I look up to as far as landscape painting, and see what I can learn from their work, actually trying to mimic their work and to develop those skills and then bring that into my own work. So glad to have you. You can participate in the live stream wherever you're watching via the comments. So whether you're on Facebook or YouTube or LinkedIn or wherever, Twitch, wherever you find us, you can ask questions or make comments. I really enjoy engaging with you, so feel free to do so throughout the evening. Let me get this camera set up over my canvas panel, and then we will get started. I am going to switch you over to this camera while I do that so we can take a look at what we did last week and what we can do this week. Last week I kind of felt like, I lost my connection. I felt like this was a mess. So let me see what we can do. All right, there we go. Now I have the camera on, and I think it's pretty much where we are. Okay, let me show you what we are going to work on. All right, this is up in the right-hand corner of your screen is the entire painting, and then you can see what I have excerpted out to work on. And so that is what I am going to work on this evening. All right, let me get going. Before I do, I need to plug in the camera so that I don't lose power. And let me put on an apron so that I don't paint all over my clothes. Welcome, welcome. I see more people popping in to the chat. So glad to have you. If you've been here before, you know how this works. You can participate in the live stream via the comments wherever you're watching. So feel free to make comments or ask questions as we get going. I was telling the chat that the picture in your right-hand upper corner of your screen is the Thomas Moran painting that I am working on a master copy of, but it's a master copy of a section of that painting. So you can see what I have excerpted out, and we are doing a smaller section of that. So that's what is going on. We started it last week. You will see where I got to last week, and I feel like it was just kind of a mess. So I let it sit for a week, and I'm gonna see if I can save any of this. Let's see, here is my palette camera. All right, let's get in here, and I'm gonna put your camera onto the canvas so you can see what I painted last week or get an idea. All right, let's look at this. The first thing we have to ask is, What is working? What is working for this painting? So that's what I would ask you all. What do you think is going well about this painting? Or what do you feel is good in this kind of basic part of the painting? What is good? What is going well? What is working? What do you like? What is working? That is the question. That is the first question. What is working? I would love your feedback, because obviously there's going to be different perspectives, and that is helpful for sure. That is helpful. Anybody? Everyone's quiet tonight. Welcome. I see a few more people popping in. So glad to have you. I am asking the question of myself and of the chat. What do I feel like is working on this painting so far? This is kind of where we got to last week. And so we need to ask what is working. And then we need to ask what is not working. You can participate in the comments wherever you are watching. So feel free to add your thoughts if you have anything that jumps out at you that would be helpful perspective. If not, no biggie. I understand that. I'm just curious. In the meantime, I'm going to put some more paint on my palette. What is working is the question, and what is not working? It's like I said at the beginning, I feel like it is a hot mess, but it's always helpful to get alternate perspectives, or even if it is a hot mess, a balanced perspective. All right, the thing that I would say, the first thing I would say that I feel like is working is the general shape and layout of the mountain. I feel like the drawing, basic drawing, is pretty good. I feel like that is working well. What I feel like, what else is working well? I feel like the sky color is pretty good. Generally, the tones of the paint are okay, I think. And then what is not working? I feel like it last week was really muddy. It just got murky, and the more wet paint that was on the painting, the less I was able to be really intentional. So I feel like that's not working. I feel like I don't know how he made these marks. Was this put down by a palette knife? Like what, because it looks like it probably was, like from my perspective, but I don't know. Let me see. I like the separation between the main mountain and the distant mountain that is on your left-hand side. Oh, thank you. Yes. That is something I want to refine and kind of emphasize. I want to figure out. Hey there, welcome. let's see. Yeah, I agree with you. I want to figure out how he made some of these marks. So I want to try an experiment. I want to take a little bit of this orange, mix it with some, maybe a little bit of this, I'm not sure. Mix it a little bit with this yellow ochre and maybe some burnt sienna. But no, maybe the yellow ochre. So what I'm doing is adding yellow ochre, which is kind of a brownish yellow to this, and that will tone down this orange just a little bit. But I don't want it toned down too much. I just want it not to be like fluorescent, if that makes sense. Now, I'm not sure. I need to watch some videos on using a palette knife because I have no technique, clearly. But I wonder if I take the bottom edge of the palette knife, actually, if I just take, what is this? If I just take the edge, I wonder what will happen if I do, like right in here is, I think that's going to be way too bright already, just putting it up there. So let's put a little this. I'm putting some of this burnt sienna into it. Also maybe some burnt umber will help. I don't know. May darken it too much. Let's see. Okay. There, I kind of have a brown orange. Let's see. I want to experiment and see what. Now I think it's too brown, but let's see what I can do. Just the tip of that. What kind of mark I get. Okay, I kind of dig that. However, I took it too far down. It needs to be more orange. Took it too far. So we'll add some orange back in. Okay, now let me see. Yeah, I think it's, except it needs a little red. But I think that's one of the keys to get these, the feeling of these ragged rocks. Take some red into it. I think that's a little more. think that's the tone I'm going for pretty much. So there's a mark there, there. What I want to do is just figure out a way to give these different areas of the mountain that feeling of rockiness. That's interesting. But that's the whole point of doing this kind of thing, is to see what happens. Now, what I want to try to do, this is coming too far out, so I'm going to scrape some of that paint off. It's okay if it's there because it'll mix, but let's see if we can do some red, brown, brownish red, some dark, kind of dark red. Almost like this. Let's see what happens when we do. I'm going to take just the edge of that and see if I can Is that doing what I want it to do? That is the question. Now, see what we can do with this. I'm going to do a little cat orange. Everyone's real quiet tonight, which is just fine. Okay, orange. I want to mix that bright orange, but not sure exactly what this color is, but it's like it's the orange, but it's also got, it's kind of diluted a little, and I think the yellow ochre will do it. I may need to get more. I want to kind of these feeling of they're too bright, then now I want to take a little burnt umber, or raw, yeah, burnt umber with, I think, a little burnt sienna. Maybe a little cad red, just to brighten it up a little bit. Okay, it's almost a purple, but I think I want more of the brown in there, so let's see. Okay, let's see. What I want to do is yeah, see, that's not working. So I'm not sure how much of this was palette knife and how much was brush. But what I think, my guess is that there was, as I'm doing this, I think he put down paint and then I think he did some palette brush stuff over the paint. My guess. This is my guess. I don't want to smooth too much of this out. So, but I like generally what's going on. I think I just need to perhaps refine a little bit, do a little bit of this. I'm going to apply some of this where I see some much more red. Try to keep it from getting too muddy again, so it won't be exactly like Moran, but the main thing is to try techniques and to figure out or try to figure out what he did, because then if I know that, then I can take it back again into my own paintings. Especially, this will be very helpful, this kind of a study, if I want to paint things local to me, like the Badlands National Park or the Spearfish Canyon, which is close to my house. It doesn't have the same rock formations, but it's going to inform kind of my thoughts or what I can do around this, if that makes sense. And again, I'm just kind of really experimenting, like what works, what is going to give me the feeling that I want. Okay, let me now stand up, stand back. And see what it looks like from a distance. From a distance. Okay, now we ask the same question. What is working? What is not working? What would you say is working? What works for you in this top section? What do you think is on point? And then I'll ask what you think is not on point, or what do you think is not working? So start with what is working? If anybody that's in the chat, if you want to chime in, you're welcome to. What do you feel like is going right with this? What do you feel is going right with the top of this part of the painting? Anything stick out to you? Hey, Behestus, thank you. So glad to have you watching on Twitch. I think the individual rocks, individual strokes as rocks work well. I think a deeper red would be nice, though. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. I'm wondering, too, some of this maybe nope, that throws a cast over the whole thing. It may also be my lighting. I have a very kind of direct source of light. So it is, let me see if I need some studio lights that are better. Yeah, I think you're right. I did do that a little bit it's hard for me to show what I'm seeing, to show you guys what I am seeing. But when you say some deeper red, do you mean more chroma or more color? Or do you mean like a darker red? This is pretty red. And I think one of the things that may not be working, I know one of the things that's not working, are this highlight. Yeah, for sure. It is a problem sharing on the camera. Yep. I know that this is way too orange compared to more reddish hue. Okay, so let me see if I can do, because I have this cad red that's very red, obviously. That's going to be the most red. If I do spots of almost straight cad with a little burnt umber, let's see what that does. If I can put it more in these red, more in the red areas. It looks washed out. I think that's because of the light. I wonder if nope, that's even worse. So yeah, that's just rough. I think we're pretty good on the red. My feeling is I think we actually need more of like this dark hue. And then into there. I think we almost need more red into here because I put that really bright accent in, which is fine, but I think it needs to be, because it's a little bit further away from the light, so it almost needs some red in here. Let me see if I can, without muddying everything. All right, I appreciate your perspective. That's really helpful, and I'm going to adjust this a little bit. What do you feel is not working? I guess that was part of what's not working. I want to tone that corner down, but now I don't want to have like this be like a line. Again, this is, I want to get the feeling of this without making it exactly, it doesn't have to be exactly like Moran's, but I really want to get that feeling of Moran's. I want to get, so when you step away, you say, oh, that's what's happening here. And I think it's the same here. We have too bright, an orange. Yeah, that is the challenge, isn't it? You're absolutely correct. How do we give the depth? And I think you're right. Like even in these orange parts, like it's difficult with oils because obviously everything's wet, but like doing wet into wet is a challenge. However, that's what I'm trying to learn, how I can manipulate this medium basically. That's the thing. And I don't know, but you learn something every time you try. And that's the whole point, I guess. That's what I just have to kind of suspend my perfection feel, or my feeling of, oh, I need this to be perfect, to say I am learning something new and it's going to be really bad before it's at all decent. And this is my first attempt really at a legitimate, well, maybe second attempt at a legitimate, any sort of master copy of, you know, a master. And so I think it's fair to be like, of course I'm not going to be able to mimic somebody who's literally a genius at landscape painting. Yes, I think so. Here's my thought on it. The main thing is, like I said at the beginning, I don't know if you were here, probably not from the beginning, but I said what I think is working overall is from last week is the shape. Like the drawing is pretty okay. I need to clean up some of these edges and different things, but like you can tell what this is. More than the colors, I think it is the values that have to be correct, if that makes sense. And I think that's why it looks a little off still, because some of these light values in here and over here are still too bright. However, again, it's learning, it's figuring out. Because if I get the values correct, the colors can almost be anything. I did a painting once of Machu Picchu intentionally. Maybe I should do more paintings like that, but I chose intentionally colors that are not organic. Like I chose bright yellows, greens, purples, but you can legit tell what it is, and it's a very kind of almost impressionist feeling because it is okay. I like this better. When I step back about 6-8 feet, I do like this better, y'all. When they're blended a little bit, again, the values are a little off here. Actually, not the values, the colors are a little off, but the values are more, I think, are more legit. That's my feeling, at least. Okay, so now let's look at what is working now. What is working now? And I'm looking like from here down, what works. Again, I think the general placement of this rocky outcropping is okay. I think the values are way off here and here. This is too dark and this is too dark. But that's easy. It's much easier to lighten things than to darken them. So, yeah, I think I want to try to go back to my palette knife. You're absolutely right. Yes, that's why I don't want to overpaint this too much or mess around with it too much. It's generally okay. And I think honestly, if I left that, I mean, I can see a lot of his like brush work or his palette knife work that is like, oh, that's really cool. But I don't want to try to mimic that every single little stroke. I want it to look at a distance basically similar. And so I want to look here. This section is not the value, meaning the light and dark is not correct right in here and right in here. So I want to focus on that a little bit, I think. And in order to do that, I'm going to take my yellow, my lemon and my yellow medium and see what I can do similar to what I did above, because I think if I focus on that, I can be Hestus. I'm curious, and I'm just using your screen name. I hope that's okay. I'm curious what kind of painting or art, what is your medium? What is your, you said you don't, I think you said you don't do landscapes or you don't do realism or something. I'm curious what kind of art you make or what's your background. I'm love to hear and learn from other artists. Super curious. All right. I want this yellow as kind of a base, I think. I don't know what he used to, maybe I'm going to take this lemon, maybe that, bright. I think that's it. I think it's the lemon yellow into the medium. Yellow medium hue. That gives it that bright, but because last time I was adding white because I could tell it was a little diffused, but then that washes out. This is yellow with white, but I want the more, like a more creamy yellow, and I think that's the yellow lemon, whatever it's called. Yellow lemon, lemon yellow hue, whatever. Let's see. Oh, it's actually a cad lemon. Bestis. Thanks. Digital paintings of different things, such as landscapes and people, usually faint. Oh, cool. So I suppose you use like Photoshop or Procreate or something like that. I have dinked around in Procreate, and that is a world I could just get lost in if I had just all the time in the world, because it's so addicting. Like, you get into it, and like you can just do layers and change colors on a whim. You can get the exact color you want. It's a similar set of skill set, isn't it? But also different to traditional painting. I have forced myself to I use Procreate for like if I have a commission or something, like when I do a sketch for somebody, or kind of like a composition or a color study, to just give the client kind of that's usually what I use before they, like, for approval. I say, okay, this is what I'm thinking. Is this what you're thinking? What should we change? Because it's so easy to go into Procreate and, move the sky or change the sky color or move a tree or, but I forced myself to not use it as my primary medium, because I really want to force myself to learn to do this in oil, in a sense, the hard way, with the wet paint, to try to really force my brain to work. And then, because I figure I can translate some of those skills over to Procreate and learn basically a new tool. So yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. If I start traditional with those limitations and constraints, it will force my brain to really be able to then, when I've noticed that even already, like when I go to draw something in Procreate, I'm like, oh, I don't have to wait for paint to dry, or I can, I can go back and change it. Okay, what I'm trying to do is get that, and I put the rest of that yellow in there. Let me get some more of this lemon. I don't really want to add white, but I think I need a little bit, because I'm not getting what I want with the lemon. It's still, I think, too yellow, but let me try. Let me take just a little tiny white. Let's see what this does. Take it on the edge of, okay, what I want to do, I hope this doesn't look, it's going to look way too neon. I just know it is. Well, you know what? No, I need to take the risk, do it, see what happens. I know it's going to be too... It is so yellow. but it doesn't look as bad on there as it would seem. I can understand that. When I started using Procreate, and I'm not as like Photoshop is too much for me. Like I haven't dived into it. Like I don't even know what I'm doing in Photoshop, but Procreate is even. I'm like, oh, I need all these custom brushes to do all this thing, and then I was like, nope. That's kind of how I started painting though, traditional. Like I was like, oh, I need all the colors, all the, I need everything, because I knew nothing about color mixing. Okay, let me put a little bit, oops. What I'm trying to do is put blocks of paint down where there is, where my value is off, because once the paint is in there, I figure I can maybe adjust it. Ooh, that's really, again, I'm really, because I identified my problem as the values being off, I want to work on that. Whoops. That's not what we want to do. I do think he definitely used a palette knife here. Definitely. Now that I'm doing this. Now let me, it's super yellow, I know. However, I think this, whoops. I need to learn to use these palette knives better. I will have to do a little research. YouTube for the win. Thank God I can just pull up some videos and see somebody who's really skilled. Probably need more palette knives of variety. This is the most precise one I have, so that's why I'm using it. But I don't think I have, I have a large palette knife. Let's see. Oh, maybe this one actually. Okay, maybe so. Maybe this one would be better. Ooh, you know what? It's amazing how much easier that is. What? Just a little bit of a flatter. Okay. All right. Control Z, yes. That's what I need on my canvas here. Can I get a Control Z for exactly, or what is it? 2-finger tap, 3-finger tap on Procreate. Can I just get a 3-finger tap on this? I think that's what was happening with this knife when I was like scraping or trying to scrape some of that stuff off. It's like, oh, let me just Control Z it. Let me just Control Z. Okay, this one. This is, I put some white in there. That will cool this yellow down significantly. Okay. What this will do is give me some layers to work on. Now, what I want to figure out is so now I need to, okay, step back and see. A little bit what this does. Yeah. Okay. Let me step back. Okay, the yellow is now garish. And it draws the eye way too much. However, I do think that the value is more correct. Therefore, I'm going to see if I can take a brush now. I love the strokes I'm getting. I think that's exactly what he did, but there are spots. So I want to figure out where the spots are that I can blend, and I don't want to lose my cool edges. So I want to come in here. He has a brush stroke right there, brush stroke right there. He has some. Okay, what I can do now is, yeah, I don't want to do too much of that. There's a lot of paint there. Now we need kind of a, he does a, what is this? Peach color that is really let's take some of this orange and yellow and mix that. Because he has kind of this peach. That I think is really yellow. Let's see what Control Z. All right. Let me see. Again, I'm taking this kind of peachy orange up into here. Just to create, see if I can create some of this okay. Let's see if I can, now this is the color I want up in here, but I don't know if I can go wet into wet very easily. I mean, I know I can't, but we'll see. We'll see. Hey there. Thanks for popping in. I hope your week's going well. I still owe you a text. There we go. Don't want to, again, I don't want to overpaint those edges, so that's the big that is the big challenge. And I need to take most of this yellow out of there. Control Z, boop, boop. Let's see. Now, don't want this too yellow. Cool to learn something new. Figure out these things. Then the question becomes, how does it impact the work that I want to do in my own art? How can I do that? Not a problem. If you look in the right hand top of your screen, there is a landscape painting by a famous early American artist named Thomas Moran. He came out to paint Yellowstone, I think, in the late 1800s and stopped in Wyoming. This is a picture of kind of his idealized image of Wyoming, a canyon in Wyoming. And so what I am doing is, obviously I have taken that focal point on the right kind of third of the painting, and I'm doing a study just of that portion. And the goal is to learn kind of what I think he did, practice, of course, his color mixing and those skills, and then figure out how can I apply this to my own work in the future. And so that's what I'm doing, is taking this little piece, and then I may take other components, because if I would try, honestly, at this point, if I try the whole painting, a master of the whole painting, it's way too overwhelming. Even this little piece is overwhelming. So if I take some pieces of it, essentially, then I can break them down and my goal is to be able to learn so that I can mimic this, particularly when I want to paint something like the Badlands or something around where we live. Then I have some skills and some experience and ideas that I haven't necessarily had before. So yeah, that's the origin, and that's my intent and where I'm hoping to go with this. But I'm trying to fix right now the values, which is the lights and darks. I had this way too dark and now it's way too light. Thank Bestus. Appreciate you popping in. I am here every Monday evening Mountain Time at 6 p.m. So pop in any time. Appreciate you. Appreciate your perspective and contribution as well. It's really helpful to have another artist's eyes on what I'm doing. And critique. So I'm trying to just tone down some of this yellow. I don't want to tone down the values of it because I like the brightness, meaning the brightness. But I do want to tone down the intensity of the chroma, which is the color. And again, I have no idea what I'm doing, so. But there are components of this that are this really creamy color. Isn't it strange? Like on my palette, this and this don't look that much different, but it's the difference between this and this. Like once it's on the canvas, it looks so much darker, which is weird. Just because of what it is next to. All right, let's see. I have Yep, that is what it is. Yep, if you look at the basically the cut out in the right below the major scene, you can see that's kind of that focal point rock formation in the distance. Basically, I just zoomed in on it. That's what I did. Just zoomed in on it. Just zoomed in. Okay, now I'm little by little trying to refine some of this shape so it reads give like some shadow spots. Okay. Now what I need to do is take a little taking alizarin crimson and burnt or ultramarine blue, which creates a real deep violet. Oops. That's probably not the brush I should have used. Probably should have used this one, but that's okay. Because violet is opposite of yellow on the color wheel. And so if I want to diffuse some of this, I want to bring a violet into it. So therefore, which you can see he's kind of done in a real and I want to figure out how to I need a little more ooh, that's really intense. Okay. I don't want pink. So we'll take some of that. Okay, let's see what we can do. I'm going to take that too dark, kind of intentionally. And we want the cooler colors there. Lift up some of this paint. Just bring this light purple over. Okay. Now, What I'm doing now, again, is not about color. It is about getting a balance of value correct. Trying to adjust the values. That is the lightness and darkness of each of these. It's so subtle and it's so challenging, but I have to train my eye to be able to see it and recognize it and adjust really subtle bits of value, because our eyes naturally want to be distracted by what we think is there in the color, and usually it's not. It just is not. Then this switches to like a really light yellow, so I'm gonna go mix into that. As it comes over here, then it's even it is lighter. Hey, Shirley, so good to see you. Hope you are doing well. I thought of you this week. I've been doing a lot of practice at the pipe organ in Lead, and slowly getting better. I play for a funeral in July. I got roped into that, so should be exciting since I have very, very limited skills. But I love it. I'm enjoying learning it. And yeah. Yeah, I saw that. So cool. When are we doing another concert? I don't know. My friend Dean, like, we talked about doing another one, and then I think it just took it out of us. I'll have to ask him. I will have to ask him. I will have to see. Summer's kind of crazy. I don't know. I mean, it's crazy for everybody, but it's I will do it. I am rehearsing a transcription of Hallelujah from Messiah for organ. Oh my goodness. I'm hoping to have it ready for Christmas. Woo! It is a bear, but it is a really good arrangement. And I'm slowly getting where I can play pedals. Playing that detached Baroque style is, yeah, it's beautiful, but my goodness, I was never good at that in college, like the detached, very technical Baroque style music. But man, does it make your technique step up a rank or 2 or 10. Especially on organ, where you can hear every single thing the minute you press it or the minute you let off the key. It is a challenge. A lot of fun, though. Lot of fun. I know, can you believe half the year? Oh my goodness, where did it go? Where did it go? So crazy. Sometime if you guys are up here, let me know, because my friend Dean had wanted to do our concert again, and he had some friends he wanted to see it last year. So if you're going to be in town a certain specific time, let me know, and I can, as long as if we had some time ahead to kind of get it back into shape, maybe that would push us to do something. I would ask him, because I think he would do it again. He's got such a great voice. Truth, yes. But it's so fun. Sometime also, if you're up here, this part of like up in Lead, I'll have to take you into Christ Church and show you the organ there. So you would appreciate, plus that building, it was, it's from the 1800s, and basically when the town was founded, I think 1879 or something, or 1880. And that organ's 1905. So your appreciation of antiques in the past, and you would appreciate the stained glass and everything in the church. It's beautiful. It's just a gorgeous. I wish they had a better piano, because it would be fun to do more concertizing in that building. Their piano is just like it's an okay. It's like a Kawai or a Yamaha or something, and it's one of those basically student piano, and it's just an upright, and it is just not ideal, but would be fun. And they trusted me with the keys. Can you believe it? They gave me the keys to the kingdom. No, not really. But they were very kind to allow me to practice on the organ anytime. I think a lot of the congregation that's left, there's not many people left, but they're just grateful that the building and the instrument are being appreciated, which I totally understand, because it will be sad if that instrument goes away and is just kind of into decay. It will not be a good thing. Will make me very sad, very sad. Yeah, and it's only a block up from my house, so it's really nice. I can just go up there, and I've been practicing every couple days actually, because I've just found I really love it. And so of course when you love something, you keep doing it. So it is a really fun instrument. I'm lucky because it's only 2 manuals and maybe 18 or maybe 24 stops, and I don't know, a couple of ranks. So it's not an intimidating, not super intimidating instrument, which makes it a lot easier to mess around with and kind of get to know kind of how the organ works. I have a friend who, we wrote a grant to bring in a friend who's an organist, like professional organist from Connecticut, and I'm hoping to hear by the end of the month if that grant was funded. If so, he will do a concert, and we'll have like a historic presentation, like a Friday night, Saturday weekend event. So would probably be next spring maybe. So if it's funded, I will let you know in plenty of time. That way, if you're in Colorado and can make it up, you can join us. Because it would be really cool. Yeah, I came to visit a few years ago and just kind of messed around, and I just invited people kind of last minute and was like, hey, would you just kind of do some excerpts of pieces, some toccatas and things from your repertoire? And he was, I hate when people do that to me, so I felt really bad, but he's so good. And people loved it, and they've like, bring your friend back to town. So I was like, well, we gotta, if he's gonna do a concert, I want to pay him. So let's go get a grant if we can, or subsidize it, privately. So that's the goal. We'll see how it goes. All right, y'all, this is still a hot mess, but it's a less hot mess than it was last week, which makes me really happy. Now I'm trying to mix in, obviously, as you can see, purple, kind of a pinky purple color to diffuse the yellow, because yellow is going to be, again, opposite orange on the color wheel. So if we put some purple in here, we will mute this yellow, and then I'll have to wait probably and come back and do some, take whatever I've learned from this, and then come in and do, I kind of like this part still, so I just need to, again, all of this was about trying to get the values right. Let's see. All right. Trying to figure out know this may not feel super productive just watching, but it is actually really instructive to me. To kind of, again, with what I know, kind of trying to figure out what he did. Not a problem. Have a good evening. Thanks for popping in. Always appreciate when you come in to hang for a bit. All right. I don't know how much more I can do. Right now. This kind of wet on wet approach. However, let me step back and see. My value range is still not balanced here. This is too dark, but it's not compressed enough, but that is just a skill I don't have yet that I need to continue to develop. Therefore, I shall continue to develop it. But do want to do some editing of this. Let's see. This is what I mean about like value range. This dark and this light are very close together, and I need to learn to be able to articulate that better. Okay, now I need this purple, but I need it really pretty diffused. Whoops. I need it to be purple for sure, but let me see if this is... Ooh. Okay, I still think it's a hot mess. But pretty happy with this. This is getting better. Getting better little by little. I think it's really the other difficult thing is we don't have the rest of the painting to gauge the values off of. So that's a challenge. All right, I think that's it for this session, y'all. I'm going to keep working on this because it's interesting and challenging, and I want to do more of this work. I think that's forces the next level of my development, my ability, for sure. So we will keep working. In the meantime, I want to say thank you for joining me. Let me turn you back to my camera here, and I am going to turn it around so I can say quick good evening to you all. Thanks as always for joining me. I will be back here next Monday night at 6 p.m. Mountain Time to paint some more with y'all. So please join me. All right, I do want to say thank you so much for joining me. Let me see if I can hold this up so you can see it at a distance. I am pretty pleased with where it's coming. I think it's just going to take me fumbling around enough until it's like, okay, the values and the colors and the everything is right or correct. And the more I do that, especially what I'm realizing, another thing that I'm realizing is by doing little master copies, this is only 7x9, so it's a tiny, relatively small painting, but even that, there's a lot. Maybe I could do some 5x7s, but by forcing myself to paint other people's work, it forces me to think or consider how they made their marks, how they painted, how they conceived all the things. And there's certain things all of us do, whether it's painting, making music, working a job, whatever, that we kind of have a system. Our brain systematizes. And so by forcing myself to kind of work in another person's painting, it makes me think about colors differently. It makes me think about values differently. It breaks me from the habits and patterns that I have developed, the colors that I would normally grab. There's a certain palette that I'm kind of comfortable with, and I've learned how to make different colors from those paints or those pigments. And so this forces me to consider, like tonight, using things like orange, which I don't use a lot. And yeah, so that is a something that I want to explore more, and I want to continue to work on. And that, I think, master copies like this will force me to do that so that I'm more well-rounded and more versatile. So anyway, that is it for this evening. Again, thank you for joining me, and I will look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great week, and we will see you next time.